Good evening. Welcome to your Ass Hurts News Network, coming to you live from the tip top of Cock Tower Square with your host, Sergeant Friday. Sarge, how you doing?
Cletus,
Sarge,
son, how the hell you been?
Pops, I've been.
You know,
That's how.
it's good. It's good to hear from you. I got to make sure the volumes are down on all these other channels. The technical director from the third world country is late. I can't even believe it.
That motherfucker was driving all over East Tennessee out here. So,
well, he was looking for Butthole Betty, but something he said something about a black hole. So I think he met her. I'm not sure.
no, maybe.
You know, only God knows, right? I mean, it's between God, him, and Black Hole Betty, or Butthole Betty, or Blowhole Betty, or whatever the fuck her name is. But I just want to say, yesterday I woke up and I was feeling a little strange, and something told me I should send a message to Steve Goncalves based on the information that we've been so far exposed to on the Idaho 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, after multiple attempts to get my co-host to watch the thing, it hasn't happened. I like total fucking dissed. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a motherfucker. I wouldn't have anything to do with him if I were you.
You know, I'm living on the edge. I think he's living on the edge. But I figured what I would do is, if with your permission, I'm bowing. With your permission, is to play that, and see what the viewers in your Ass Hurts News Network have for ideas or thoughts or comments, and even yourself. I'd be very interested in hearing yourself. Now, I do want to say this because I do mention a Chrysler 300, and I know my co-host doesn't like that type of specificity in the statements that I make about the vehicles, but I don't give a fuck. I'm factually accurate on that information. So let me see.
Well, I'd say shut the fuck up and play it then. How about that?
Without further ado, you holy shit.
I'm going to get me a sound effect machine so when you fucking go on your tirades, I can go wah, 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 wah.
I don't know if I'm saying that correct. Is it Mr. Gonzalez? Let me turn it up. I hope you would pardon me for my error in the pronunciation of your name. I'm going to try to stick to Steve, only because I know I can pronounce that properly. I wanted to address you or leave this video that maybe one day soon you would come across it. This video is going to be highly critical of the prosecution. I'm going to explain and show to you what I've derived from the information released thus far, from statements made and written motions to statements made under oath, and the conclusions that I myself and many others draw from that, including some very well schooled attorneys here on YouTube. So I'd like to go over the probable cause affidavit that was written, and then connected to that was the warrants for the arrest of Mr. Koberger. I don't want this to come off as argumentative. I don't want this to come off in any way except this is the data that we have received thus far. I put it in just a few simple bullet points. I will elaborate to some extent on them, but I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible because your pain is something I cannot comprehend. And I don't think hearing what I'm going to share with you is going to make you feel any better. However, I think this perspective is valid. And I think it's valid in as much as it can be verified. That's one. And the validity also comes from other people that have paid extremely close attention to the case that they refer to as the Idaho 4. And so let me start with the first. And this is going to address the PCA and these points that were used to get the warrants against Mr. Koberger. I do not know, I cannot say, and I will not talk about his guilt or innocence in any way, shape, or form. That's not for me to decide.
Sorry, pause it.
Points that I'm going to share with you are going to be.
Do you
What are they doing in the chat room all in fucking boxes?
I can't, I just saw you put oh my god.
What are all of the what are the things going in? I'm looking at it from StreamYard. What are all of those little boxes for?
They're not boxes. You got to look at it from YouTube. They're roosters. You have been attacked and swarmed by the rooster squad.
Who's the rooster squad?
Well, that comes to you courtesy of one truth, not feelings.
Well, truth, don't come in my stream and bomb the fucking chat, you stupid motherfucker. Come on.
Sarge is bitching about the rooster squad.
Yeah, I don't want to see that shit going through my fucking chat. What the fuck's the matter with you?
Relax.
No, I wouldn't do that on his stream. Even if it was, it's funny to do it once, but not to get everybody to join along in it. Come on now. Look at it. It's not fucking stopping. I'm glad you find that fucking humorous, dude. I don't go in his stream and cause trouble like that. Why is that funny? Explain to me what I'm missing here.
Well, you would have had to have fucking been there. It's been going on all fucking weekend, and it's just fucking silly. This is why it's so damn funny. It's just silly, but it's funny as fuck to me. But I will pass along the message that Sarge does not appreciate the humor.
Oh, my chat room. I mean, it's not like we got 50,000 viewers and something we can fuck around and just destroy the chat room once in a while. I mean, it's just insane. I don't get it. Unless there's some funny joke behind it that I'm not aware of. Obviously, I don't know what that would be. So it just looks like people bombing my fucking chat room. And if it's
you're not the first person since I've discovered that this happened that has had the similar reaction.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fucked up. Dude in his own stream.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Fucking fat-headed mother. All right, back to the fucking music. Based on factually verifiable information that you yourself can find. So let's start with the original statement that Mr. Koberger turned off his phone. And let's be clear about this. Nobody knows if he turned off his phone. Nobody saw that. Nobody witnessed it. There's no way to verify that. Additionally, in the PCA, it makes room for that. It says he could have put it in airplane mode. It says it could have disconnected from the network. Okay? Those are important exculpatory statements. And because there is no way to show he physically turned that phone off, nobody can stand up and say that that happened unless Brian Koberger says he did. Then that particular statement in the PCA is a theory. There's no fact at all in there, and there's no way to verifiably produce a fact that he turned off his phone. Yet that was placed inside of a probable cause to arrest for multiple homicide. The officer that wrote that went on to tell us that his 13 years experience leads him to believe, or he has knowledge that 13 years experience, he knows that criminals will often turn their phones off to mask their location while committing a crime. And I can't argue that statement. I take that statement at the word of the officer because it's completely sensible. But let's back up now. Mr. Koberger has no history of a crime. He's not a criminal. He's a PhD student for criminology. Let's not forget who's been accused here. Not a prior criminal. Now, the argument that his teachings and the news media going after him, saying he went to school only for the purpose of learning how to commit this horrific crime, is an opinion. There's no evidence to support that he went to school for this particular purpose. And factually, his criminal history being nil, why would you apply a criminal's behavior to Mr. Koberger? So let's now move on to something else. We were told, and it was stated, that there were 12 prior trips of Mr. Koberger connecting to the area or to the cell tower that includes 1122 Queen Road. I'm going to refer to it as Queen Road because that is correctly what that address is. 1122 Queen Road, which is off of King Road. I know people call it King, but I'm going to stick with what I know are a fact. It's Queen Road. The 12 prior trips in a hearing over interviewing the public, interviewing potential jurors, those 12 trips were confirmed by both the prosecution, the judge, not to have been related to stalking at all. Not to be related to stalking at all. And those 12 previous trips to Moscow or to the tower that connects to the residence at 1122 Queen Road is the most accurate depiction of what they have. They have his cell phone connecting to a tower that spans miles, but that tower also services 1122 Queen Road. So somewhere in that vicinity, his phone came up. And in no way, shape, or form, based on testimony and based on the arguments of the prosecutor, in no way, shape, or form are any of those 12 trips connected to stalking 1122 Queen Road and the and the victims that we know exist. It's crazy. So that can be taken off the table. There's also a statement and a motion that's never been contradicted. There's zero ties to the victims, electronically or otherwise, between Mr. Kohlberger and any of the residents of the home where your daughter resided or was visiting. Returning to visit. Also, it's been said that you released the Linda Lane video. And this is an important point to make. It's probably a stunning point, but it was Brett Payne himself who confirmed what myself and several others, not many, but several others always contended, that the identity of the car in the vicinity of the crime scene was accurately described by the FBI examiner to be a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Brett Payne confirmed it on the stand in his testimony that was just done the other day. So the Linda Lane footage does show a Hyundai Elantra, but the Hyundai Elantra is a 2011 to a 2013. And the picture that they claim from a video that shows a 14 to 16 Elantra has been stated to come from an Elantra came from the wrong time, going the wrong way. So I want you to be clear. So give this to you in a clear manner. The home where this scene took place, where this, anyway, I didn't want to refer to that because again, I am so respectful and your pain is unimaginable to me. But the vehicle on Linda Lane, the vehicle and the movements described in the PCA that match that vehicle is 100% an 11 to 13 Hyundai Elantra and 100% cannot be Brian Kohlberger's vehicle. There was a gentleman out here, and I wish he would come back. His name is Get a Clue. He examined that video, and the vehicle that ultimately drives around the building and purportedly parks is a Chrysler 300 that Elantra did not come back in. What you're seeing in the end of that video where a car comes up and goes around the building, that is a Chrysler 300, sir. That is not a Hyundai Elantra. It is not a 2011 Hyundai Elantra nor a 2014 to 2016 Elantra. It is in fact, and Get a Clue's video and analysis of this is unimpeachable. And when you combine that with the identity that's confirmed now by Brett Payne that the car near the crime scene was an 11 to 13, that eliminates Brian Kohlberger as being present at that scene, at least through the means of his automobile, which folks, which Steve is being accused. He's accused of driving his car there. That's part of the PCA. Everything comes down in the PCA to pings and pictures, images, or video of an Elantra. There is not one solid piece of evidence that indicates Mr. Kohlberger was there. And I want to also point this out. All of these things that I'm sharing with you that were all entered into the PCA has been clearly stated by the prosecutor, Brett, or what's his name? Bill Thompson, and Judge. Everything entered into the PCA and everything used to get the warrant did not include anything to do with IgG or DNA. There was no use of any form, of any shape, or of any identity of DNA used in the warrants that were issued to arrest Mr. Kohlberger, and the subsequent warrants that were actually issued that got his buccal swab. So he was charged and in custody, and then warrants were issued to continue searching, to continue to try to close the loop on this case. There's no camera footage to show how he got to Linda Lane, as admitted yesterday. And I think it was admitted by Brett Payne. Also, during the course of this investigation, it's been told to us through motions through the defense and not been stopped and not even been objected to or even attempted to be countered, that they did a search of everything Brian had come in contact, where he lived, where he worked, what he drove, including the parents' home, and that they found nothing from the victims connected to Brian Kohlberger. And they gave no explanation as to why. Now, these statements come from the defense attorney. These statements make 2 points. One, there's nothing there. Two, there's no sign of bleach or residue of any cleaning agent, which would indicate the suspect cleaned up after himself. Those are damning statements that have yet to be contradicted or even attempted to be addressed by the court or by the prosecution specifically. Additionally, and this is going to be hard, but I want you to follow me here. The only reason we're having the current hearings that we're all able to witness and watch is because the prosecution refuses to turn over discovery. And because they're refusing to turn over discovery, these hearings now, and these pointed questions, and these questions are very, very important. If everything in the PCA is eliminated and cannot be supported by fact, then you have to ask yourself, are the warrants issued from this accusatory instrument? Are those warrants legal? There's many, many more points that I can make. But when you dissect the PCA that was used, the probable cause affidavit, in the application of a warrant, and the subsequent issuing of these warrants, and the subsequent issue of many more warrants to investigate Mr. Kohlberger, the one question that I've always had through all of this is, why didn't they do that before they arrested him? Why didn't they do the investigation? Why didn't they question him? Why didn't they do the things that they claimed they did with 100 other people? Why did they not do that with Mr. Kohlberger? I find that to be irresponsible. I suspect that if you could show that there were, and let me be clear, I want to say this too, because I'm very offended by the prosecution, in as much as they had to have always known that those 12 previous trips had no connection to that home or the victims. They had to have known that. And the minute they said he drove in similar areas 12 previous times, I knew right away that meant he was nowhere near Queen Road. He took 12 similar trips into Moscow from June until November. How come those similar trips? How come the statement was he took 12 similar trips and put him in the vicinity of the murder scene or crime scene? Sorry for that word. Why isn't that in there? And that's because the prosecution always knew that was part of a PCA, that was part of the accusation, but it became unverifiable to support the suggestion or the inference that Mr. Kohlberger was stalking. Yes, he made those trips. And yes, the prosecution always knew that they couldn't close the loop on showing him as a stalker. They always knew that. They always knew their pings were in question, and they always knew they had no single solid piece of evidence in the application of that warrant that made it likely Mr. Kohlberger did this act. Nothing. There was not a single fact of evidence offered when they applied for that warrant to arrest him. Nothing. Everything they offered was supposition, theory, ideas, coulda, woulda, shoulda. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the loss of your daughter, but I'm sorry for what appears to be the loss of justice. How could the warrant have been issued with no investigation, with your experience as criminals turn off their phones, with your statement he turned off his phone, could have been turned off, it could have lost network connection, it could have went in airplane mode. For all we know, the battery died. We don't know. And we're never probably going to know why his phone was off. And the fact that some guy's phone is off shouldn't be an issue for anybody. The fact that he drove to that area 12 separate occasions, even on the night of the crime. But none of those occasions, based on their own statements, similar trips, based on what we heard in the testimony over these last few events, it wasn't Kohlberger. He didn't go to that property. He didn't go near that property 12 separate times. He didn't have any connection to the victims on any electronic means or otherwise. They knew these things or had to know them relatively quickly. They then also came across there was no biological samples in any place Kohlberger could ever have been. The likelihood of that is just mind-boggling. The impossibility of that just seems stunning to me. How could that be? If this gentleman did what he's accused of. The camera footages. Linda Lane confirmed to be an 11 to 13. I never look at when someone's a professional in their field, Steve, I never will question what you're telling me. I will go after I hear what you're saying and look into it. Obviously, you trust but verify. And that's how I deal with facts. You trust what's being said and then you look to verify. And in this particular situation, everything that was put in the PCA has become fully unverifiable. That's a stunning revelation. Stunning. My fear was always this, that Mr. Kohlberger committed these crimes, but not in accordance with the accusations, not in accordance with the information they provided to get warrants against him. I have always said that the PCA is an exculpatory document for the defendant, that PCA, and I said this a year ago, more than a year ago, when the information came out about the 12 trips, I said, there's Brian Kohlberger's alibi right there. That's exactly what he's going to say he did. And how many months went by from the time that was first disclosed to the public where everybody devoured that as proven it stalked him? And how many months went by before Kohlberger said, I did all of it. And I'm telling you, Steve, the prosecution knows what I'm sharing with you. And if you pay very close attention to what Ann is looking for, she's not doing this to delay prosecution. She's not doing this because she wants to make some kind of plea deal with this guy. She's doing this because the evidence submitted to not only, let's be smart here, not only the arrest warrant and the subsequent investigative warrants is not just faulty, it's untrue. Untrue because it cannot be verified. And that information was then taken to avoid a preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing is the step in the process of a criminal proceeding to where the government can be questioned. Just be aware, a preliminary hearing is to question what the government is alleging in the documents they used to arrest you. And Bill ran around that with an indictment using, let's be fair, using all the information that I've just shown you, they cannot verify. And if it is verified, it contradicts the narrative. He stalked them electronically. He was on this social media site. Not true. How many times were we told his car was going to be a petri dish? Not true. And I feel horrible to even be sharing this stuff with you. But I feel compelled that somebody needs to lay this out and make key crucial points that can be verified. And the prosecution needs to stand up and they need to either show Mr. Kohlberger is unequivocally the man that committed this horrific crime against your daughter and her friends and friends of yours and your family, or the prosecution needs to get off the pot. Shit or get off the pot. because he sits there like he's a bump on a log as Brett Payne tries to make sense of what he did. Apparently, he didn't do much. Apparently, there was no organization. Brett Payne is telling a defense attorney that the evidence she seeks is probably in the evidence room and he needs to go talk to that clerk. Well, could you imagine how our justice system would fare if defense attorneys had access to the evidence room? What kind of a cop is Brett Payne? What kind of a prosecutor is Bill Taylor? Or Thompson? Bill Thompson, I'm sorry. These things should have been confirmed in stone before you did anything with any kind of legal action against any American. Period. End of story. And that probable cause affidavit is almost a bad, it's a bad narrative. It's an unverifiable narrative. So if an 11 to 13 was what was in that area, how did they say Brian Kohlberger parked his car and drove off at a high rate of speed? How did they say Brian Kohlberger went around that building? How do they make this allegation when they already knew the car that was identified by the FBI agent was 11 to 13? And why is it the specific data, the specific video that Ann is asking for is specifically focused on that car? They did not give her the video that was used to conclude it was an 11 to 13 Hyundai Elantra. You see, that's what I mean. She's not asking for moon dust. She's not asking to count the rings on Saturn. She's saying, okay, you identified an 11 to 13 Hyundai Elantra in the vicinity of the crime scene. Show me that video. It's highly exculpatory for my client. She should have that video. I suspect that if you took the time to verify what I just shared with you, I suspect that you yourself, sir, would be having serious conversations with the prosecution. And you would want these answers clarified. And if they won't clarify them for you, then I suspect that the verification of this has all been through the hearings. It's in the motions. It's in the counter motions. It's in and I'm going to end with this. Everything Ann Taylor is seeking, the defendant is entitled to because it was part of the investigative process that resulted in allegations that charged him with 4 homicides and felony burglary. That's horrific. Those particular allegations are supported by investigative data. That data must be given to the defendant. There should be no ifs, ands, or buts, or maybe, coulda, woulda, shouldas. That's how our system is designed to work. The judge's position in this has been very weak. The judge, whether he even knows it or not, his position is to protect the citizens from government overreach. That's the primary function of a judge. He weighs the laws, he weighs the information, and he makes decisions. And makes decisions that will confine the government to the limits within the Constitution. If you don't read them as rights, you got to let them go, Steve. But if you, in fact, do read them as rights, and all your investigative data that you've collected, that you used to get warrants and subpoenas, all of that is unverifiable. It can't be proven. Then you're walking down a path of oblivion. You have a case in front of you that it doesn't even, I suspect, that this will never make it to trial. There's just, to me, it makes no sense. You can't show me he turned off his phone. You can't show me he drove over to that house. You can't show me that he was at that house. But what you can show me is a different car was there. But you're alleging it was him in his car. And yet you had a video this whole time of the 11 to 13 Hyundai. You absolutely knew that that wasn't Kohlberger's car. And the car that goes around the building after the Elantra leaves is absolutely a Chrysler 300. It cannot be an Elantra. And it cannot be an Elantra, Steve, because the sail panel between the rear window on the passenger door, the rear passenger door window, and the rear window of the vehicle, that sail panel is about 16 or 18 inches wide on the car that rounds that building. And on an Elantra, it would be lucky to be 3 inches. The separation between the rear driver's side door window and the utmost rear window of the vehicle is roughly 3 inches apart on an Elantra. Watch your own video, and when you get to the point of the car going around at roughly 407, slowly go frame by frame, and you will see the sail panel on that car is massive. It's 5 times the size of the Elantra. So the separation between the rear passenger window and the ultimate rear window of the vehicle is inconsistent 100% with the Hyundai Elantra. I do give credit to a guy called Get a Clue. He's a freak with stuff like this. And I think he took his channel down, but he is an absolute smart guy. And when you look at what you're seeing on these testimonies, you have to ask yourself why my Mr. Bill isn't objecting, isn't questioning these people. How is it he doesn't question? It's shocking to me. And this is what I'm going to end with. What you're seeing here is a mini preliminary hearing that should not be happening. These particular hearings should not be happening if not for the prosecution turning over discovery. If the prosecution had turned over this discovery, then this stuff would be getting put together for trial or off motions to suppress, which I think we're going to see a floodgate of motions to suppress, Steve, because the PCA is not a verifiable fact. It's an opinion that cannot be supported with any evidence. That's the basis under which they arrested Mr. Kohlberger. Now, as I said in the beginning, I don't know if he did this. I don't know if he didn't do this. But what I can be freaking comfortable with is telling you what I've told you. As to his guilt or innocence, I leave that for others that have that capacity to make that choice. I personally have no opinion on innocence or guilt, but I certainly have an opinion on process. And I certainly have an opinion of being arrested with documents that you can't prove, statements that you made that are unverifiable. I have a big problem with that. And I think as Americans, we all should. And you as a parent, sir, my advice on the case is to be as objective as you can. And if what I'm sharing with you, go and verify it. And once you see this in black and white, you, sir, then I think should start questioning the state of Idaho. What is going on here? And let's not forget, they have a history of doing this with evidence when it comes to Stickergate, when it comes to a chiropractor that was accused of killing a competitor chiropractor. They withheld evidence and ran that guy through the dirt. There's many instances of this state and that area doing exactly what we're seeing here. They make accusations, and these accusations become either unverifiable or provably wrong, and they withhold that evidence from the defense. This wouldn't be the first time. It doesn't mean that the other times mean that those other times don't define what I'm pointing to you. What I'm pointing out is definable in and of itself. But what I want to point out is that they do have a history of that, right? But that doesn't mean that history includes every case. It doesn't even mean that past history includes this case. In other words, I'm not just saying this because I know they did it before. I give them the benefit of the doubt like anybody else. This is a new case, a new crime, a new accusation, new documents. However, based on what we're seeing factually, this has a lot of reflections of previous work done by that particular state. Listen, I wish you and your family as much goodwill and love, all the compassion that I could possibly muster. I have a 24-year-old daughter. She did get through college, and I don't even know. I don't even know how I could deal with this. I don't think I could. But I think it only fair that you be addressed directly with this information, and that you have it from me. Feel free to reach out if you want. If not, that's fine. I'm not looking for fame. None of my streams have anything to do with making money. As a matter of fact, my streams you'll find on an unusually named network called Your Ass Hurts News Network. My co-host Cletus, and we deal with the chaos that we see on the internet. We're constantly going after the viewers that follow these providers that tell these grandiose stories or misinformation. And so I have a stream based on that. It does also cover true crime. It does also cover some politics. But I just felt like Sunday I woke up and I thought, I think it might be the responsible thing to do to try to get a message to you. And I hope this reaches you. I hope you're well. And if you have listened to this, I want to thank you. And feel free to question me on any of the points I've made. I'll help go back. I'll help you get the information where it was written, where it was stated, where the documents, if you'd like to, or parts of. I'll rewatch every hearing again if you would like. and bring out the parts where Mr. Payne is confirming that that car is an 11 to 13. Again, my condolences, and you have a good Sunday. Cletus!
Fucking Paul Harvey 2.0. Good
Paul,
day. That was good.
Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
Why? What? Man,
I was reminded of Paul Harvey. What do you
was
want
that a
me to
good
say?
thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing.
Did you see I mentioned you?
Yeah. This motherfucker. Did you see I mentioned you? That's funny as shit.
Well, you are my co-host, so I was doing this without you even knowing I was doing it. I figured
That
the least
silent
I
and
could do is,
absent motherfucker that you'll see on the screen is my co-host named Cletus.
who's
Fuck,
Cletus?
I'm talking to you.
People ask me all the time, who's Cletus? Cletus is my son, God damn it. Be talking shit about my son. We just won't have that. But what are your opinions of that? Leaving the Chrysler 300 thing out of it.
I mean, just because I don't see that as a definitive doesn't mean that I don't think it's a relevant point, right? So, I mean, I don't, I'm not going to sit here and debate it. I don't know if
No,
it
but
is.
let's stay. I mean, I agree with you. Let's stay away from the specific model, manufacturing model.
I think
it's not an Elantra.
I think it would make a hell of a part of an opening statement at a trial. That's what I kept thinking when I was listening to it, is more of that. That's exactly what I would see it as, because it's, you kept it straight to the facts and to the points that you take objection to that are provable. They're provable objections. So, I mean, and if you look at that and consider that, it has to. There's no way a reasonable person wouldn't hear that, process it, and consider some reasonable doubt and reasonable objection based on the claims that have been made and the documentation and evidence that's been provided so far. It doesn't mean that they can't prove their case, but it makes you raise a serious fucking eyebrow to it.
I think the preliminary hearing would have destroyed this game.
I don't disagree.
And I'll tell you why. They didn't do any to my knowledge, they didn't do any driving of the cell towers before they arrested him, did they?
They didn't do any driving of the cell.
In other words, yeah, they didn't have his phone.
No,
so they didn't actually. So prior to charging this guy with 4 murders, they didn't even have his phone to get in a location accurate.
No, they took his phone records on December 23rd.
His records, but they didn't have the phone.
Considering, hold on, considering because I haven't heard what Brett Payne and everybody else has said, but considering what I do know, what I would say is the only reason they got his phone records is to simplify the amount of information they had to present that supports he visited that home 12 times, which was incorrect. But they didn't have his phone. They couldn't.
No. They never said he visited them. In fairness,
well, they implied that he did.
And the public and the media ran with that because they did allow it to be deciphered that way. Sure.
Because ultimately there's no
even mentioned it.
Ultimately, there was no fucking point to put it in there. If you're not going to say he stalked him, there was absolutely no fucking point to include that.
Was there any point to say he turned off his phone?
Other than to go on and say what they said, that indicates criminal behavior.
but listen, yeah, and we agree. I mean, okay, but you're alleging criminal behavior to a person that has no criminal history. Now, right. I know we all have our first, but generally we don't start out with 4 homicides. Generally, right?
Right. And we don't start out with 4 homicides and get it and pull it off flawlessly to where there's no fucking trace of them or you.
A friend of mine tried to ridicule me today. He said, "You never even done, like, I own a construction company, and I've never done any of the construction ever. I admit it, right? But do you ask the fucking pilot if he ever built a plane? You fucking morons." Well, what are you talking about? Have I ever done? Why do I need to do it? Right?
Yeah.
Why does the pilot need to build a fucking plane? He's trained on how the controls work and how to use them and how to get the thing off the ground, right? Does he got to build the plane to actually be qualified to fly the fucking thing? And my friend just looked at me. He goes, "You are such an asshole." I don't know. You're such an idiot. Just because I physically come to work doesn't mean I can't own and operate a company that does this stuff. I mean,
You needed a third guy standing there so he could go, "You're both right."
Jesus Christ. I'm like, good God, where the hell do you come up with these statements? Anyway. Yeah, no, Dego.
Where's
There's a
Dego?
Dego in here. How's
Where?
your Dego? I got him. He's muted though, for whatever. I didn't mute him.
Oh, he must be behind the comment. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
Where's
here.
Fathead?
I'm here. You were just talking your brains out, so I just sat quiet.
Well, but I started hollering for you.
I heard you.
Oh,
Hollering?
I didn't hear you hollering, but I heard you. It took me a second to click the thing open, you know.
well, I didn't want to come across like Clue does every time she addresses you.
It is what it is. What's going on? Thank you for having me. Appreciate you very much.
Well,
You
thank
broke
thank
your
you.
1.18K subscribers. Congratulations, sir. Proud of you.
Well, that's yeah. 1 point. I think we're at 1.2 now. Look at that.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. I'm very proud of you, sir. You've done great with this channel.
I got to congratulate Cletus too.
Well,
He's a
of course,
part of
that goes hand in hand, but you know.
So, well, anything you can add or subtract or what? Anything that I missed?
I don't think so.
Characterized.
I think you put it all in perspective quite well, and I have nothing else I could add to that. To be honest with you,
Well, I do want to say this, and I wish I would have said this in that particular video, but I think this is a point that people don't really pay a lot of attention to. But if 70 to 80% of the dust in your home is your dead skin cells, okay? Just imagine the plethora of skin cells floating around the Target or a grocery store, landing on everything you're going to eat, right? Think about this, man. Every time you get an apple or a banana, it doesn't matter. Donuts.
Nobody
Oh
ever
my
told you to
Jesus.
wash your fucking produce?
Oh no, I'm just saying though, you're just the amount of DNA that we shed is gross, right? So, and the quantity is so significant that it's almost as if I think bad luck needs to be renamed Brian Koberger. I think you should say that to people that end up with bad luck. Oh, you had a Brian Koberger day, did you? Because to me, that's kind of more and more what this DNA on that buckle is starting to look like. It's really bad luck for this dude. What do you think there, Cletus?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not there yet, right? Like I'm just not. I'm not convinced that he didn't do it. I'm thoroughly convinced that he should not be convicted of it. I'm thoroughly convinced it should not go to trial, and that it should have been fucking dismissed back last March or April or whatever it was.
And there should have been a preliminary hearing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with it. What do you?
And
I'm also on the same page, right?
I'm also thoroughly convinced that if they had fucking executed the search warrant for his buccal swab instead of arresting him, we would probably be in a whole different spot right now with it.
I think perspective-wise, you're absolutely right. I don't think people that are determined on pledging their life to guilt or innocence. I think the people that are stuck on they want to decide he's guilty.
I'm not really talking
that
about
would make a difference to them.
I'm not really talking about perspective. I'm talking about process. If they'd executed the search warrant instead of arresting him, they'd have got the match, and then they would or wouldn't have, and then they would have decided what to done with it from there, because that would mean that whoever was in charge was doing things responsibly instead of rushing to make a fucking arrest for whatever ulterior motive they had.
I agree. And can you imagine? Going back, you touched on this too. Can you imagine where we'd be right now if there would have been a preliminary hearing?
Yeah, that's what it's saying. And golf inspector pointed it out. She has a clip stored somewhere that the judge said, when that came up. the judge had said to the DA, yeah, because you have a weak case. Judge said that himself in a hearing. I heard it, and then I think golf inspector may be able to provide the clip of that. This is going back months and months. And I just find it rather shocking that some guy that uses the fake name Sergeant Friday could pick up the internet on February, read a PCA, and then get online and say that that's exculpatory. That's evidence for the defendant. Remember that, Dego? I mean, the first thing I ever said was that thing is bullshit because it didn't have any facts in it. It was just an opinion. It was like a theory. And it's kind of shocking that this is actually how everything is rolling across the courts, rolling through the motions, rolling through the lips of the people that you're questioning. How would you, as a cell phone examiner, not have the answers and the documents that are supposed to be required to do your job? Shocking, man. I don't even know.
Very much so.
Listen, I wouldn't have a problem if my pilot got on the plane and didn't have on his proper uniform. But if he got on the plane with no fucking arms, I'd have a slight issue. I might want to ask a question or so. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, sir. I mean, this is a pedal plane. How are we going to get to where we're going, dude? You got no arms.
Oh, fuck.
That's just stupid, but accurate in the description of what
no, it is.
Keystone cops did.
Oh, shit.
Pretty sure why I do this for laughs. You know what I mean? Because nothing is so serious that you can't find something to laugh about.
Yeah.
He might be the father of that one-armed masseuse I know for a fuck.
Well, yeah, Clue just corrected your thought. Herpes is serious, and there's nothing to laugh about with that.
With herpes?
Yeah.
Well, I could see situations under which that would be funny.
Okay.
Right? You go back.
If you got them from a one-armed masseuse, then yeah.
Well, you could go back and give them to your ex-wife. I mean, what about revenge herpes? There's no humor in revenge herpes.
I don't see anything funny with that, but hey.
Sorry.
Oh, fuck.
I don't see anything funny about that.
What the fuck does that even mean?
As if I meant it.
I don't really know what. I mean, if you had somebody that you knew had it and were like, hey, go fucking hit up my ex-wife, then yeah, that would be kind of funny.
Oh my God.
That I could see some fucking humor in. Anyway. I think he's joking to death.
Well, I'm fine. I'm not.
Dego, you're fucking quiet. Talk, man.
Hi.
There you go.
You want me to say? You guys
speak,
are.
Dego, speak. Good.
Where's Fat at too? Go bring someone drag that fat fuck in here. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Sarge can get him to explain.
Good luck with that.
He was so fucking irate about that shit. That was fucking hilarious.
He did it to me last night too. It was the wrong time when he did it to me because we were right in the midst of going over a memorial for Madeline Soto, and it was just like, what the hell? It is what it is.
What happened to me was I'm in StreamYard. Nothing, no images came up. It was just hundreds.
You don't see it.
Blocks. Yeah. There were little blocks in here. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with my chat room?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm clicking on the banner. I'm switching around. I almost was going to refresh the page. And then I clicked and no, I said something. And then Cletus told me, go look inside of YouTube. And then I go on YouTube and I see all of these birds. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? What are people? What are they, trolls? And he's like, no, they're roosters.
I just looked down and I saw the fucking comment you had pinned on the screen, and I just saw a bunch of fucking roosters. And I'm like, oh, I guess truth has already sent everybody in here.
Jesus. And everybody started posting roosters. I don't know how you even can post a rooster, but nonetheless, the next thing you know, there's every fucking tweet, every post is a rooster.
And Sarge is like, what the fuck is funny about that? I don't fucking get it. What? That's not fucking funny at all.
Yeah, I kind of expected that reaction. I knew, and when he said it, because I was sitting in there, and I'm like, "Oh God, here we go."
That turned out well, not. Yeah, and then someone said Truth did it. I'm like, what the fuck's he coming in here destroying my chat for? What do you mean Truth did that?
Yeah, he said you can't fucking come destroy our chat. It's not like we have a big fucking chat and just a bunch of fucking shit. You can't just come in here and bomb it with these fucking roosters. Oh fuck, that was epic.
Well, at first I seriously thought it was a troll, and then I'm trying to figure why. And I'm like, fat. What do you mean fat? So what's the point? I don't know. Anyway, so we got beyond that there, Dego, but we're still suffering the after effects.
What else is there to say?
And he did it to you too?
Yeah, he started to, and Salty was on my panel with me, and she was like, she wasn't having that. She was like, what the fuck? And no, and yeah, and everybody just kind of backed out real quick, and they did not.
My queen of moderation was like supporting it.
Well, I mean, hey, they probably thought. I think they thought. Here's the thing, Sarge. You give a cross message sometimes. I think not on purpose, but it's what you do. Your channel is based on bullshit that people put out. Okay, and you call it out, and there's some comedy that goes on in here. So I think that the consensus was that everybody was going to think that you were going to laugh and play along and all that, but nobody knew that you had planned a serious conversation. So
the title was pretty clear. The title was pretty clear. Did my message to Steve G help or hurt? But anyway, I get what you're saying. People expected me to laugh along with it, but I was so thrown off my game when I saw all the blocks showing up in this chat, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with
so mad at me.
I just, you listen. I will knock the fat right out of your head. Although they would derive some benefit on your behalf, but I'd still do it.
Oh, that shit was fucking epic, Truth. Like that was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. That shit. He's in the middle of this serious moment, and I look down, and there's a fucking pinned comment that's just a bunch of fucking roosters.
I knew. Like I said, as soon as I popped in and heard you talking, I went, "Oh, this ain't gonna go well."
Anyway, that shit was.
They really layered it too. I was not expecting it to be that much, but it was.
I mean, there were tons of people doing it. I'm looking at names, and there's names I haven't seen before. I was going to start booting and blocking people.
They did exactly what he asked them to do, and it worked. So
this started.
He's backstage, by the way.
Oh, I thought he was.
No, he's not. He's in the room. He's
up here now. I see.
This started Friday night or Saturday night one with going into the vault, and because Sebastian's dad was in there chatting, and Clue got blocked, and when she got, and we're all, mind you, we're all in Truth live, and we're watching the vault at the same time, and when Clue got blocked, everybody started typing hashtag free Clue over and over again and just trolling the fuck out of the chat. And everybody realized how entertaining that was, so it's progressed into a massive cock swarms in chat. So yeah, that shit's fucking.
How you doing there? Your ass hurting there, boss?
Yeah. I got to be fair and honest on that one. My ass hurt when I saw that. I was like, what is wrong with fucking
listen, I know you got mad. First of all, out of everybody, we all thought you were going to be the one that laughed at that shit the most, and it was the exact opposite. So thank you for that, because we were dying laughing at your anger. I just want you to know that.
Well, when I realized it wasn't a malfunction of the fucking software, and then someone says you're doing it, I'm like, why is he doing that here?
Well, because I had like 300 people in my live, and I was like, well, Sarge is going on, and I figured if they came over and did that, and I told them to like and follow too. So it was like, let me send everybody over there, because at the time I looked, there was like 17 people in there. Not that you couldn't get them on your own, but why would I waste the opportunity of 300 people in there or 250 people in there and not have them go do that? Because when I give them something like that to go do, it's getting them in your chat. I didn't know you were doing something serious tonight. Shit, you're always doing stupid shit. And I didn't even look at your title. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't look at your title either, because most of the time
we mix the stupid and ridiculous with the serious sometimes. But mostly the serious comes out there in the middle of talking about these ridiculous fucking people out here.
But
Well,
I agree.
now you had something stupid come up in the middle of talking about something serious.
I mean, I'm not mad about it. I'm actually super happy it happened because I got to see a side of you. You got to go watch my live. I was dying laughing while it was happening.
You're a
So,
fucking crackhead, bro.
and I didn't mean not because you like it pissed you off, but more
No,
because
I
it was the
understand.
response
Listen,
I didn't expect.
I'm cool. I understand the context under which you do it. Context is everything.
Yeah.
But again, in this context, I was caught off guard and really thought I had a malfunction. Then when they said you're doing, I'm like, what the fuck? What do you
Yeah.
mean he was doing it?
What do you
Why would
expect?
someone here do that? I honestly, at first, I didn't believe it. I thought they were just trolls that were coming in to screw up the chat.
No, so we had this discussion, man, that like all the trolls are always negative, right? So last night after everything was going on, we decided to go positive troll like lives, right? So we went in there and we did the rooster thing, and then we all were saying something nice about the creator and like, instead of all the negative shit, throwing some positive shit in there. And the only other person that got pissed off of all people, you ready for this? Dego.
Yeah.
Dego.
Yeah,
Well, we also didn't know that he was doing a serious because Dego doesn't do serious shit at night. And so I didn't think he was doing something serious that night either. And someone was like, he's showing a memorial, right?
So wait a minute,
I'm
wait
like,
a minute, wait a minute,
fuck.
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. With the size of your fucking head, you screwed up last night. The guy had a topic and he got upset about it. You didn't think that could happen here tonight?
I didn't care with you.
I didn't actually really get
How
upset.
many lessons does he need, Dego?
I
everybody
didn't care with you. You're different. Your channel is Your Ass Hurts Network, and you got your ass hurt. It was priceless.
Well,
The
and
fuck
let
do
me
you
let me
mean?
say this. I believe it or not, I'm defending this a little bit. The basis of your channel, Sarge, and is coming from the tip of Cock Tower. Okay? So if we're to look at it in that sense,
Thank you.
they sent a whole bunch of cocks in here and did not know, that.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
No,
I didn't
and
get it. When
the
I saw
funny
them
thing is,
birds on there, I was like, what the hell is that?
He
That's what
discovered
Rita said it was a rooster.
he
the funny
discovered
thing
his long running and unknown allergy to the cock.
And Lou even said that she thought you were gonna laugh and be all, laugh your
I'm
ass
glad
off.
he didn't. I'm
I
so
was
glad he
sitting in here
didn't.
watching you set up what you were setting up.
Bullshit.
I've known you for long enough to know when you were setting up what you were getting ready to do, and I was like, oh God, this is gonna go wrong
You
completely.
could have warned me. You could have warned. Now I got two people on the boat to nowhere. Cletus?
I could have warned you. Your fucking co-host knew about it before I did.
I didn't know about it until I fucking saw he pinned it on the screen, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And I looked down, and it shows up different on the phone than it does on the television, and I'm like, "Oh."
Thought you
Listen, they were brutal with you, Sarge. Like everybody else, they did it 1 or 2, 3 times. They just kept on. And I even said, if you go back and look, I said, roosters retreat, and they ignored the commander. Okay, they went rogue. But yeah,
listen, guys. I explained this last night. Truth or BFH or whatever the hell you want to call them. Truth, I've come to the conclusion, is that kid in 6th grade that is sitting in the back of the class waiting for the teacher to go up and write on the board and runs over and knocks over her milk or her apple on the table, runs and sits down and raises his hand and says, Mrs. Smith, Timmy just knocked over your milk. That's the kid. That's who Truth is. So understand that before you get
that's
anywhere.
so not true.
Truth. Well, if you showed your face, everybody would know that you're lying out of your asshole right now.
That's not true.
Damn.
Buttholes. Guys, remember, you can always come join us for bong rips, buttholes, and coffee early in the morning.
I told you guys, he's the playground troublemaker. You got to quit hanging on the playground with him. You see what he did to you guys?
Let me ask you something, Truth. Is there any word about Sebastian?
Nope. We haven't. I mean, nothing that's why we're doing the silly stuff we're doing, because we refuse to participate in watching Tony at night. That's the whole point of kind of doing things different. You get to a point where you can only fucking listen to certain people talk so much. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's what all this came out of was we were all in my chat last night because we refused to watch that everybody was showing Tony. And there were, I don't know, there was a good number of people in there for that reason. And then everything went down with this, I'm going to go whoop everybody's ass woman that's over there with Cletus right now. And then that started the next thing. And we're like, all right, well, we'll just be nice. And then I got called out because Clue got into something. And Dego got called out because Clue got into something. And we're taking the asshole in the elbows and all this shit. You know what I mean? And
Well, she is
Clue's
the
just
center
over
force
there.
of gravity to all of this, so to a lot of this. So,
Well, listen, folks. Sarge, are you okay now?
well, they fell for the oldest trick in the book, and I hung up on all fucking three of them. Okay, you ain't gonna cock block me when I got the button. Remember, Sarge has got the button, and with the button, I can put an end to all of this. Okay. Holy shit! Well, this was an interesting stream. It was both ridiculous and serious. So nothing could beat that. You know, nothing can beat that. That's what you do, folks. I'm telling you, that's the new thing we should do around the world. From now on, when you're in the middle of the last comment that your friend is making on the phone, you just hang up on him. Your boss, doesn't matter who it is. Ask them a question. As they start to answer, just click off the phone and walk away like there was no conversation at all. In the meantime, we shall be back again tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep an eye out for 12 Gauge. He's having a stream with somebody connected to gang understandings or gang enforcement. Let me see who else is going to be out there. You always got Truth out there. You always got Clue to check out, and the old mighty Dego, to name a few. And don't be shy. You're welcome to check us out anytime as well. So everyone be good. Have a good night.